All right, so we got a 2014 Ford Focus in here. His complaint is when he puts gas in it, it starts to flutter. The engine wants to die and flutter. And of course, first thing I thought of is a purge solenoid. And it does have the code for that. It's got a kind of a laundry list here, but it's got the the P1450, which is cannot bleed up fuel tank vacuum, and that's normally your purge solenoid by the intake that comes up from the gas tank. And what happens is when that thing is open, it just lets all the vapors from the gas tank into the engine. And a lot of times when you put gas in it, it'll fill the tank up and push all those vapors towards the front and kind of overwhelm the engine a little bit and try to make it die out. So that's what I believe the problem is. He also has a P0170 system 2 lean bank 1, and then a P0420 catalytic converter. And for whatever reason, we changed a lot of these catalytic converters on these Ford Focuses, usually about 80,000 to 90,000 miles. This has 120 on it. I'm not sure how long this 420 has been coming up on him, but that's not going to fix. This 1450 is not related to that. I don't think it's going to be. This car is probably going to end up needing a catalytic converter at some point. But that's not what we're here to fix today. So we're just going to do a quick test on this this purge solenoid. And what I do, well, I'll take you over it real quick. All right, there's really two ways you can test this. You can test it almost without a tool. You can start the car up, disconnect your electrical on the purge solenoid. Your purge solenoid is right here. Your air intake's here, and then it's right kind of below that, but in between your cover here and the engine. It has an electrical connector on it. You can disconnect that electrical connector and start the engine. And if you feel suction on your finger, then that's bad because it should be closed. When it's not in use, it should be closed. So there should not be any suction on it at all when the engine's running, especially if it's disconnected, because the computer can't command it on, obviously, if it's disconnected. So with it disconnected and the engine running, you should not feel any vacuum on there. If you do, then the solenoid's bad. I actually disconnected the line back by the gas tank and put a little adapter in there, and I got my vacuum pump here. And this should not build any pressure when I pump it. Well, it should actually. You can see it's not building any pressure at all. And the reason why it's not building up any pressure is because it's bad. So if that thing built up pressure, if that gauge built up pressure, say you pumped it up to about 10, 15 pounds, and it held there for a long time, then it would be fine. But say you pumped it up and it actually pumped up, but it was slowly leaking down, fairly quickly, but that then you have one going bad or stuck or whatever. So anyway, that's the issue with the 1450 on this car, is the bad solenoid, purge solenoid. We're going to go ahead and order one and get it. I'll show you how to change it, and I'll show you why this vacuum text works pretty good as far as, we'll test on the new one and make sure. But anyway, I'll go get the part and then we'll come back and fix it. Alright, so I went and got the new purge solenoid here, and I got my vacuum pump hooked into it, and we're going to pump it and see if it holds up vacuum. Alright, so I'm just going to take it to 10 pounds. There's no reason to go much past that. And you can see there it's at 10 pounds and it's holding. So this one's good. Obviously it's brand new. Well, you hope it is anyway. Sometimes these new parts don't work. So all we're going to do now is just uninstall the other one and then put this one in. So I'll show you how to do that real quick. Now on the back here where it comes from the fuel tank, you have these, on yours it's probably green, and you just press in on them. If you can't press in on them, you can just take a small pick and pull it out. It's not a big deal either way. They're made to kind of press in. You just press in on both sides and releases it. But sometimes it's kind of hard to get something in there. So a lot of times I'll take a pick and just pick them out. Especially if I'm replacing the whole line, it's not a big deal. So I'll take you in there and then I'll show you what we're doing. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove this air intake hose here, just because it's easier to get my big mitts in there with it out of the way and get to that bottom hose. And I got the wrong size. So on this one, if you're going to take yours off, which you probably have to get down in there, just pull in on this blue, push in on this blue, and it'll pop right off. And on this, there's like a white or grayish clip. Just push it forward and then out, and that'll pull this one out. And then you got the 2 hose clamps for the actual air intake, and then that should pull off. So I'm going to go ahead and take those 2 hose clamps off real quick and pull it off. Alright, your purge solenoid's right here. I've already pulled it up from the bracket. You have one electrical connector, which is right here. Just press in on it and it'll release it. And then you got to file it down to the one down there, and then back to the gas tank right here. So I've already got these loose. You just pull it up after you get them loose. And these green clips, it has like a locking, and I just dropped it. It has like a locking clip, and then it has this on the top, and you just push this in. You can see that spreads it open, allows you to release it. So that's how you get these off. The newer ones, it's a little bit different. They're not green, it's gray. It's the same concept though. You just squeeze on it, and on the ends where the gray are, and it'll release it, but we're just popping these on. So go ahead and install the new one. Basically the same way that you took that off, and we'll clear the code and see what happens. He's going to lose his, probably the P0171 will go away, the lean code, and the P1450 will go away. But I got a feeling the 420 will come back, which is a bad cat. And like I said, it's pretty common on these Ford Focuses. Actually, my son works at Ford. I've changed a bunch of them, and my son works at Ford. He sees it all the time there too. So anyway, we'll go ahead and snap this back together and get it back on the road. One other quick thing I'll point out, before you throw these away, if you have a smoke machine or some way to test smoke, I always cut the ends off of these and throw them in a big drawer where I got a bunch of them. Sometimes these newer cars don't have a place to tap into the EVAS system to smoke them out. So it really comes in handy sometimes to have the ends for these, so you can just put your smoke machine on the end that you cut off, and then put the other end on the whatever line you're trying to tap into. It's just a little quick tip. I always cut them off before I throw them away. I got a drawer of them. That way, if I ever have to smoke something out, and there's no good access port, I can just use one of these. So just something to think about before you toss them in the trash. Alright, when you put both ends in, you should hear them snap, physically snap. I got them both in now. These new ones come with these brackets. There's no reason to change your factory one out. You're going to sit there and spend all the time fighting those little tiny bolts and stuff, taking this out. Your new solenoid, your factory bracket is just like this bracket. So your solenoid will fit right on the factory bracket. All you do is just snap it on there. So all I'm going to do now is just plug it back in after I find the pigtail. And when you snap in the ends for the on the throttle body and back to the gas tank, you should hear them snap. So just when you hear them snap, just kind of pull on a little bit, tug. If they don't come off, then you're good. If you don't hear them snap on, then they're probably not seated all the way. You just want to make sure they're seated all the way so you don't have leaks later on. So all I'm going to do now is just put this intake hose back on and clear the codes, and that's it. That should be it for this. Hopefully you learn how to test it. One thing I will say, if you try to do it without a vacuum pump and you're going to use your finger, it's kind of hard to get your finger down in here to feel the suction, because unless you got a small finger, because of all this around it. So it's better to try to use a vacuum pump to see if it works. But if you don't have access to that, maybe get a piece. Well, I would say get a piece of paper and see if it's sucking down. But the problem with that is there's all these gaps on the side where the air can still escape through there. So if you got a small finger, you're probably okay. You can feel it. But if not, vacuum pump's a good way to find out. So hopefully this gives you an idea. And that P0171 will be a common code that could accompany that 1450, the lean system. Because basically it's just like a vacuum leak almost when the solenoid's bad. So that's more than likely what his problem is with the P0171. So, and this should fix, if you're having a fluttering, your engine's fluttering or having issues when you put gas in it, that should fix that as well. So the purge solenoid. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully it'll give you an idea on how to test it. It's pretty easy to change, and gives you an idea what to look for and what to test, what the symptoms are for it. So that's about it for a 2014 Ford Focus with the P1450 code. That's the most common thing. Now that doesn't necessarily mean you could have other issues of breaking the line or something going on by the gas tank, something like that. So always test this before you just assume that's what it is. 99% of the time, if you have that code and you're having issues filling the tank up with the car, trying to die afterwards, that's probably what this is. That's probably what it is. But you still want to test it and make sure, just so you're not replacing parts you don't need to. But anyway, that's about it for this one. As always, God bless.